Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one, it will obviously be in the poetry discussion playlist, which is now, I believe, approaching 250 poetry discussions strong. This is also the seventh of a 274-part series, journeying poem by poem through the Little Yellow Book, Sylvia Plath's The Collected Poems. Now, the poem in question is known as Channel Crossing, and it reads as such. On storm-struck deck, wind sirens caterwaul. With each tilt, shock, and shudder, our blunt ship cleaves forward into fury, dark as anger. Waves wallop, assaulting the stubborn hull. Flayed by spray, we take the challenge up. Grip the rail, squint ahead, and wonder how much longer such force can last. But beyond the neutral view shows, rank on rank, the hungry seas advancing. Below, rocked, havoc sick voyagers lie, retching in bright orange basins. A refugee sprawls, hunched in black, among baggage, wincing under the strict mask of his agony. Far from the sweet stench of that perilous air in which our comrades are betrayed, we freeze and marvel at the smashing nonchalance of nature. Of nature, what better way to test taut fiber than against this onslaught, these casual blasts of ice that wrestle with us like angels? The mere chance of making harbor through this racketing flux taunts us to valor. Blue sailors sang that our journey would be full of sun, white gulls, and water drenched with radiance, peacock colored instead of bleak rocks, jutted early to mark our going, while sky curded over with clouds and chalk cliffs, blanched in the sullen light of the inauspicious day. Now, free by hazard's quirk, from the common ill knocking our brothers down, we strike a stance, most mock heroic, to cloak our waking awe at this rare rumpus which no man can control. Meek and proud both fall. Stark violence lays all walls waste. Private estates are torn, ransacked in the public eye. We forsake our lone luck now, compelled by bond, by blood, to keep some unsaid pact. Perhaps concern is helpless here. Quite extra, yet we must make the gesture, bend and hold the prone man's head. And so we sail towards cities, streets and homes of other men, where statues celebrate brave acts played out in peace, in war, all dangers end. Green shores appear, we assume our names, our luggage as docks halt our brief epic. No debt survives arrival. We walk the plank with strangers. So, what we have here is we're out at sea when a storm hits. Everybody is tossed about, everybody is scared, and when things calm down, the people who went through it all are in a different place and somehow bound to each other. So there's one obvious thing to talk about, and then there are some questions that I want to ask. It's probably fairly safe to assume that, I mean, it's a fairly obvious sort of symbology, metaphor, whether you know about Sylvia Plath's life or not, that the metaphor here is a metaphor where Plath's relationship, or our speaker's relationship, or any relationship is going through turbulent times. And at the end of that, the two people are closer despite losing quote unquote themselves during the fight. Now, we have that, we have all of that sort of evidenced here in the phrase. Well, I want to go back up to the beginning where we have the sort of, where is it? We have the storm described as dark as anger. So it is angry. And then at the end, we assume our names. Now, is this sort of in the Fight Club sense? In death, he has a name. His name was Robert Paulson. Or is this sort of a reassumption of our names? As we have gone through this thing, now we assume our names. During it, we had lost ourselves. During the fight, during the turbulence, during the rough times, we sort of hunkered down and became less individual and more whatever it is that we had to be to get through. We become less individual. We become more animalistic. We become less human. We become more animal. So that is basically, I think, the sort of surface level argument to be had here. That we are sort of journeying through a relationship in this way. These tough times come. We lose ourselves. There is violence. There is anger. There is all this turbulence. Boom, 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 boom. And we're through it. And we're back again. We assume our names. But when we look at this poem, is it a safe assumption to say that perhaps, well, is there any reason to ask the question, is this poem being written not in retrospect, not in preparation for the next fight, but is this poem being written in the doldrums in the eye of the storm? And the reason I want to ask that is when we look at the poem, it's fairly dissociative, isn't it? Who are we? Who is the speaker? Is the speaker in the poem? Where is our point of view? And even down here at the end, down here at the very end of this thing, we get all the way down here and we end it with, we walk the, well, that is a terrible color. It's so difficult because it's, God dang it. That is no better, is it? All right. Got to go with a bright color because that makes it dark. There we go. We walk the plank with strangers. What a weird, dissociative, very distant line we have here. And if this storm is meant to represent a fight, is meant to represent the turbulence that we go through in relationships with other people, why are there other people? Why are there other people? We have the person who's the gesture bend and hold the prone man's head. We have these strangers on the boat here. Where's the one? Ransacked. Other people. We have... Where's the person that's sprawls hunched in black among baggage, wincing under the strict mask of his agony? Voyagers lie. We have all of these other people. Who are they? Who are they if we are in the confines of a single relationship? Do these other people represent other us's? Because here's the thing, you hear, oh, the only person you ever really know is yourself. Everybody dies alone. But do you really know yourself? And though you're the only one dying, is that singular? Is you singular? Are these other voyagers representations of our speaker? They say you never truly know anyone but yourself. But how well do you even know yourself? Have you ever done something miraculously stupid? Of course you have. Miraculously stupid to the extent that 5 minutes before, had you been looking at your future self, you'd have slapped yourself. Or 5 minutes after, had you been looking at your former self, you would have slapped yourself. But you haven't gotten to the point where you had to pay for this miraculously stupid thing quite yet. Of course you have. We all have. Everyone has. We're human. It's what it means to be human. But are we human or are we humans? Am I American or Americant? It's not the same question. I don't know why I said that. But we are plural. Each of us is plural. Is that what is going on with these other voyagers on this ship? If this is meant to represent a single relationship between who? Between the community of ourself and the community of our lover's self? I don't know. That's all I have, unfortunately, for this poem. A series of questions. But I think that sometimes that is what poetry has to leave us with, right? I'm not going to just leave that floating. Sometimes poetry has to leave us with that because we are not in the same place as the poem was written, or the poem is written in a different place than we are, etc., right? So we can read any piece of literature and have 1,000 different interpretations of it, depending on where we are when we find that literature. Maybe I'm just in a multiple type of place. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you enjoy what I do here, hitting the like button really helps me out on the channel, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, I have poetry on the channel every Monday. I do short story read-alongs. There are novel read-alongs, all of these sorts of things. So consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more, and I hope to have you back for the next one.